Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the GPMS meeting. I don't know what time it is. It's 5 o'clock UK time at this current moment. And I don't remember the date, to be honest. I think it's
28th.
28th.
Yeah.
So we're starting this meeting. We're just having a little bit of discussion about how we could move forward a little bit with GPMS in the UK and bringing it to the people of the UK. So if anyone would like to start this meeting a little bit with ideas or something, a little bit more understanding of the best way we could approach it, or ideas in areas that we haven't sort of approached at this moment. Many of us have tried different areas of this, and we've been discussing this off camera a little bit in regards to the resistance we get, also the benefit of moving into that space and seeing the resistance, but also trying to work out what's the best way to approach this with many souls and allowing them to see GPMS. So if anyone's got any ideas, anything to bring to the table with this, it would be a great opener. And like I said, I apologize, I'm struggling today a lot. Go on, brother Dan. Can't hear you, Dan.
There we go, back on now. So apologies for that. I was actually trying to introduce the call as well. Obviously I had my mic on, so apologies for that, everyone. So yeah, thanks for joining. Great to see you all. Much love, much light, much gratitude to you all. And yeah, just firstly, I need to also ask for your kind forgiveness. I'm going to have to kind of leave quite quickly on because I've got some things I need to go off and do. But yeah, in terms of progress and strategies and going forward and what's sort of occurred this week, I've just had a little overview and Q&A for the 3:30 UK sort of overview Q&A, which I set up, which I had a couple of new people on board, which was great. There was a few more that had said that they were going to come that didn't manage. But again, this is what we've kind of seen in the last couple of weeks, which is good, though, because it's kind of at the moment seems to be rolling in where at least a couple new people are coming. And the powerful thing is that we know that everyone who's coming is in the UK. They're placed somewhere in the UK at this point. So, of course, as that grows and more will start to invite others, then we can start building on the network location wide, locally wide, and that's where we'll start to really be able to move things offline as well in due course. So that's great, that's exciting. And we had a couple of questions that were asked, and we went through the Q&A I showed the Q&A aspects on the website and encouraged them to have a look at that. One of those attendees has offered to do to contribute freely on, free of charge for any sort of art, design, or anything like that. I know we've got people that have been assisting with that already, but again, it's always good to have anybody at hand to help with these things as and when we might choose or require some help. So that's all good. I've had some interesting connections this week, which I did touch on actually within this meeting, just to sort of, again, bring to the minds of those watching the playback that obviously as we're going forward and we are connecting with more and more people who have great ideas and concepts that were forming the worldwide think tank, if you will, that this is actually what's happening. This is occurring. We've already got obviously various people that have come in before talking about sort of setting up structures for committees and what have you. But this particular contact I connected with, beautiful soul. He's 74 years of young, and he's over in Indiana. And he actually came up with a great idea, which again, it completely relies upon the coming together of people to actually create this ability to do it. So very much the same with GPMS. We have to reach the world. The GPMS is reaching the world. His idea was originally based on building from a community level by state upwards to obviously empower the people to obviously take forward this concept that he had. But it was basically to ultimately have the people come together in a big way to then command that the broadcasting channels, whether in each country, in each state, radio and television would be utilized for local sort of voting on a community-led basis, because that way those channels where now Antiques Roadshow and cartoons are broadcasted to distract the people all the time, if that was actually used for educational purposes and to obviously discuss local things that need to be done, obviously, or could be done within the local communities, then it gives everyone a voice, basically, and then the vote is done by a telephone and a PIN number, and they only have one vote. But there's debates that are obviously taking place on broadcast now. His concept was, and he's got a website and everything else that he's designed, is called One Voice, and One Voice Now, sorry. Again, it's something that, of course, as he has said, he can't do it on his own. People need to come together. This is where GPMS comes in, because we're bringing all of these movements, these ideas, these concepts, basically under one umbrella. And of course, it just paints a picture of potentially, one of the many solutions that would be, considered and brought into play once we get to the worldwide majority of what we're doing on a worldwide level. But of course, again, this concept I thought was quite interesting, because it was one that would appeal to the interests of people, no matter what their background, whether they're a business owner that's obviously not happy about what they're seeing being done on a government level. This is empowering all of the people individually to contribute. And of course, with that concept, even the children could actually have a contributory vote potentially when that came into being, when it comes into being. So I've made the connection again. He said, it's not my idea. This was given to me as a vision, and this is for everyone. He's got terminal cancer. He just wanted to share it and obviously see if he can bring others together to obviously help that. And of course, he's aligned with GPMS. I talked to him about GPMS, and he thought it was beautiful. And so obviously, again, I just wanted to share that as, again, just another example of how GPMS is bringing people together to be able to obviously bring the ultimate solution, which is freeing everyone completely with the equal abundance. But that the systems are going to be simple and very easily brought into place, as we know, but as others have yet to discover. So there was that. And I think, is there anything else I wanted to share other than that? But that was quite an interesting call I had. And yeah, I think that's pretty much the sum of what I had this week. I'm sure there's probably something else, but it might come in a moment. So I'll open up the line for everyone else. Anyone else got anything to add?
Could I add something there? Thanks, Donovan. Thanks for that introduction and sharing. Just something that struck me as you were talking about GPMS creating this umbrella. I'm seeing so many beautiful visions that are aligned and interconnected. And one of the things I've been involved in is working on a platform called The Way with Catherine Waldron, and Dean knows Catherine and I quite well. And what we're trying to do, well, what we've been guided to do, not what we're trying to do, and it's in this flow, it's happening organically and expanding. And we are feeling guided to help people to move away from the fear-based stories. I see the truth community, they're seeking truth. The spiritual community is seeking spirituality, but they seem to be in this loop that they keep going round and round, and they're not actually focusing on the solutions. It's this ultimate seeking, and until you realize there's nothing left to seek, and it's about allowing that divine template to come through you and create, that is when we shift into this beautiful vision of the world we want to create, which you're talking about with GPMS. So we're helping and assisting in a different way, but it's all interconnected, because everything is. Yeah. And I see this interconnected structure like a web, like a honeycomb. We're all off like little bees doing our own little thing. We know exactly what we need to do, and we're all given our intrinsic knowing of what we should be doing, and we don't need to think about what the other bees are doing. We just get on with what we're doing, knowing it's all for the whole. But our focus is to add anything onto there that's aligned with the divine template. So I'm due to give some talks. I'm starting in Oswestry on the 20th of February. And this morning I woke up with the the presentation coming through me. So I grabbed a pen and I know exactly what to do. It was like 20 minutes. I just was writing and it was given to me. And there was a mention of GPMS in there. So I can weave that in. But what I'm trying to kind of encourage people to do is think of the solutions, to move them away from the fear-based programs, to be guided to things and see the solution. So that's all that they're focusing their consciousness on as much as possible. You know, we're going to get people dipping back and forth. You know, I've been there, I've been entrenched in it, I've been in this perpetual loop, stepped out and realized what I've been doing. But now my focus is completely on creation. So I see from that position now how other people are responding to all the things that are being put out to seed fear. So we're looking at the antidote. We want everybody's vision that's aligned with a divine template in one place. So basically you can go to the way and you can find all these amazing visions. We don't want anything for it. It's our gift to humanity. But it's basically, you can go and click on a little planet on the front page. So we've got GPMS on there. You click on it and it takes you directly to the website. From there, you can connect. So if you're interested in finding a world where we don't need money, where we realize that we're the value and, you know, we're in this system, you know, instead of seeking within these truther groups that are kind of creating this echo chamber, we move towards seeking within this expanded higher consciousness all in one place, so we can all look in one place, and it's all about the connections, bringing people together. And that's basically what we're trying to do, just bring everybody together who has a vision that is creating the new.
Perfect. Oh, thanks so much for sharing that. I mean, just to very quickly add, I was having a conversation earlier with someone, and actually, I was having that same vision. So I do have a little bit of a sort of a psychic ability. It could have been that I was tuning into what you were just sharing there. But essentially, yeah, in terms of, you know, a website and a platform that obviously is sharing those different visions, you know, and obviously what's going on, obviously, in different countries. And one of the reasons why that came to me as well is because of what's divinely occurred this week, which is obviously aligned with that, where in Australia, there's a movement that I was sent a video for, which I hadn't seen until just yesterday, but it was for a group over in Australia, the People's Law, spelled Lore, Terra Australis. And basically, it's not just about this common law, which obviously, again, there's so many movements about. This is where they've actually, again, rooted up the history of what happened with colonialism over there, and the crime against humanity, and obviously the fact that the people over there, basically, when the Brits or whoever it was that landed, you know, basically realized that there was native people there, they actually knew that they couldn't take the products from the land and use them because obviously they didn't have any rights. So they actually went over to Norfolk Island and they created their corporation to be able to do that. And they've tricked everybody into legislations which don't apply, because you've got the First Nations, the original native peoples law, which is I think it's North. I don't know if it's called. They call it the grandmother's law. I think it is, and they've been able to now get this approved, not in the court system originally in Australia, but I can't remember the native people of New Zealand. Is it the Malia or
Maui?
The Maui. That's it. The Maui people. Yeah. There's a Maui court in New Zealand which they basically put their documentation through, and they basically approved it. And since that, they've been able to then get it sort of approved, so they can actually claim, and they are claiming back lands. It's already been successful for some of the native people over there now, and so they're obviously educating people on all of this stuff, as well as obviously the, you know, how they can, you know, help people with their current system. So again, on the court common law kind of situation with affidavits and all that sort of stuff. But the interesting thing, the exciting thing was for them, is that they've actually been able to prove now in that court system that everything there is corrupt, and actually it's something that the guy who was hosting this particular video, and they've got obviously a number of videos they've done since, but this was, I think, done in December, just before January. This video, which was talking about it, where it was introducing it, and they already had quite a number of people on the call. He was actually basically appealing, obviously, to more people to come in and to obviously start learning this, so they can actually start making their claims and all the rest of it and getting out the system. But it would be something that would be utilised, obviously, elsewhere you know, because it's true elsewhere ultimately as well. But he also did say that there are other movements that are working worldwide to the end of liberating humanity and creating the equal abundance and all the rest of it. And it almost indicated that he may be aware of, you know, GPMS.world, certainly of other movements that may be obviously sounding fairly similar in what they're about. But that was interesting, and more for me to delve in there. And obviously, I'll be making you know, some effort to try and sort of reach out to these souls over there to sort of obviously make sure they are aware of GPMS and to obviously try and sort of move things forward with connecting them to us. But yeah, that platform you're talking about, it'd be interesting if you've already got that platform, maybe that's your idea and your platform, but with all of the countries around the world, you could have those perhaps dotted around. You could have GPMS.world as a center, because that's really what GPMS is pulling all of those together to bring the unity, because the unity is absolutely key for us to do this. Without the unity of everyone that is aligned with freedom, with abundance, with love, with kindness, compassion, joy, all of the good things, we need everyone to come in of all belief systems, but in line with those virtues. And then that is basically where the power lies. That's the voice of the people. That's what gets this done. And so, yeah, it's great for people to be able to dabble and have a look at those different movements. But the key thing that they need to be drawn to is the ultimate. That's what I would be saying. Of course, you know, I'm representing here, as you are, you know, GPMS.world. So of course you could say, well, you can't prioritize one over the other, blah, blah, blah. But they're all good movements.
I see it as cross-pollinating. So if you had a site, we'd have a link. If somebody else has a site, we all have links on each other's site that interconnect. So it's like cross-pollination. So anybody who lands on anybody's site can click on anything and find the information.
Yeah,
because we're all kind of been drawn to different things, you know.
100%. What I would say with that, I mean, obviously, as we know, I mean, like the guy on this call that came on, one of the guys who came on the call today, he said, "Oh yeah, I came across GPMS and been connected to him for a while, and I think I probably sent him a link to the website." And he said, "I had a look at it, and then I saw $20,000 on it, and yeah, I basically just walked away from it at that point." And I said, "Well, what was your reason for that?" And he'd drawn incorrectly the conclusion that the $20,000 that was mentioned there was that we were seeking initial investment from people for that, you know. So obviously, with people having such limited sort of concentration spans, generally speaking, which is known now with obviously social media and what it's doing to people. A lot of people, they look at things very quickly and briefly, then they move on, they're distracted and they forget about it. And so great concept what you're talking to and speaking to, and of course this is your baby, so of course I'm only just sharing my perspective and what I want to do. But ultimately it is worthwhile just sort of bearing in mind that you know, ultimately the collaboration of everyone coming together in unity, because all of these separate movements, I'm not sure how effectively they're actually networking behind what they're doing on a worldwide basis, and that's what we are doing. You know, ultimately, I think anyone that looks at GPMS, once they understand it, it would be almost insane for them to not be in alignment with it. Really, it's just the fact of where. I mean, I take it. I mean, you've been sort of a member of GPMS for some time. Did it sort of take you all of 5 seconds to get it, or where were you with it? Did it take you to get it?
It's taken a while. The concept I kind of got initially, but I didn't really understand it on a deeper level. It's like the different layers. Once you go through your own working through your own programs, you know what I mean, and you start to go deeper within yourself and lose kind of the obstacles, the blocks. For me, I could see things more clearly because my consciousness was expanding, and then I understood it from a more broader perspective and how consciousness works, and how when we align with things, it's energetic. So we can't force anything.
Yeah,
it's a natural. Well, it's not even a shedding, because there is nothing to shed underneath there. It's always there, you know, the divinity that we are. It's just what's hindering it, the programs in the mind. You know, once we work through these and unravel them, then it becomes clear. It's like wearing dirty glasses, and you have to keep wiping them, you know, and clearing them until you can actually see the true reality of everything, how divinity works and consciousness works. So, you know, it's your own personal journey. That's how I perceive it, as each one of us does our own inner work. then we understand, we understand it, sorry, because we then become aligned with it energetically. One thing I was just going to add, there's just something you said then. It's gone. It'll come back to me. Oh yeah. I've written a few little things down. Yeah, no, it's gone. It'll come back.
It'll come back. I mean, so yeah, just to say then, I mean, yeah, of course, I mean, everything that you're doing, everything all of these other movements are doing, it's all very, very important. Everything is, you know, it's all divinely orchestrated and it's aligned in one way or another, whether we see that alignment or not, you know, because obviously even the things that seem negative and bad are actually applying pressures and causing people to do their inner work, etc., to obviously come to that higher state of consciousness to be able to see things really, truly in the highest truth, you know. So, but
I've
yeah,
remembered what it is now.
Go for it.
I feel what we're trying to do is, you've got so many people who, if you imagine a wave, you've got people who are on different parts of that wave. So people like yourself are on the crest of it. You know, you're the pioneers. You understand how this works. But you know, you walk around the street and you meet somebody, they might well be down here. I'm not saying anybody's above or below, it's their level of awareness, because it depends what filters they're having to look at things through. Sure. So what I feel is, what the way does, we meet people where they're at, individual people, and sometimes they can't grasp this concept right up here. And I feel that there are people like ourselves who are creating these platforms to meet a certain audience, so that we can align with them, and from there we walk with them like their friend and help them unpack, and then it guides them to their inner knowing, their inner standing. So I feel like that's kind of our purpose, which then leads to you, because we can then signpost. Because initially, this is how I feel, having gone through this journey myself. Something so broad, you know, something that requires a high level of consciousness, and where, you know, there's this expectation that people, well, no, there's not an expectation, but people may not be able to jump from here to here on the wave. You know, they're on the gradual transition, and like myself, I needed different tools and techniques to unlock these keys within me, you know, to start to open up. And I feel like that's our purpose, really, to help people on that wave to expand into higher consciousness, so that they can see the divine template.
Yeah, 100%.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. I would 100% agree. I mean, of course, because I speak to people across the board, you know, I speak to people who are affluent, they've got businesses, they've got houses which are worth £4 or £5 million. And of course, you know, they wouldn't, you know, directly oppose what we're talking about with, say, GPMS and bringing absolute abundance and equality to all people. But of course, they've got their egos and the things that, you know, again, I mean, even a conversation I had with a BBC journalist the other day, I mean, you know, she was really depressed and I was bringing her GPMS and she's just reacted, you know, rather than actually sort of, you know, received it with love and excitement and, you know, joy that, you know, there was actually something out there very positive against what she was just explaining to me was absolutely negative everywhere else, you know, in her world. So, yeah, it's true. Everyone's on their journey and you can't force anything with anyone. Obviously, the importance really is for us just to reach those that are ready as soon as we can. And those who are ready, not just to give their agreement and be in alignment, but to also just help us, you know, get the word out more and more, because the more that are doing that and helping in any way that they can, the more the message is getting out and the more it's shifting consciousness, and that energy, as everything being energy, is working towards, you know, uplifting people. Of course, you know, with our platform, you know, the numbers visibly there is a massive part of the shift in consciousness and the increase in vibration, because it's not just when people first go and have a look and see the numbers, and when they're at a number where they actually sort of see that as powerful, whether that's 250,000, a million, or what it is now, 80,000, or what it was before, you know, a couple of months ago where it was maybe only 40,000. For whatever individual, that's different. But when they come back in and they have a look at the website and they see the numbers growing, their vibration, their frequency is moving and it's going up, it's not going down, because that's where the numbers are going. So of course, again, anyone that's on that kind of frequency of understanding energy, frequency and vibration, so certainly be, learning about GPMS, in divine timing when it comes to them, but also just sort of seeing it and not hesitating and just giving their agreement. So that's what we're hoping, obviously, or not hoping, we're knowing that obviously that's just going to start growing more exponentially, more quickly. And all of the other movements out there are going to be coming into the same umbrella, more or less. It's just a case of when, but again, like you say, many of the ones in those different movements, they've got their own ideas, their own focuses, their own things that they need to let go of, belief systems, and just the old that they become attached to, that they think they think is what's required. And it's also just those people that haven't sort of really necessarily felt empowered in the past to be able to really influence and change things for themselves and for their family, and they're still looking to the outside for that, to be done for them, but again, divinely the pressure's applied and it's occurring, and people are starting to say, well, enough's enough. And everybody's got that point of breaking where they like, no, I can't wait anymore, I'm not having this, but the good news is when there's a solution out there that's presented, which is actually really palpable, and people are coming together and they see that, it's like, well, I'm not going to be dipping now to the depths of absolute depression because nothing can be done. I've actually seen that there is this, and that does give hope, and that's more than hope, it's actually happening, right? And I can actually turn my attention to that and be involved with that. So but that's great. I love the idea of what you're doing. So when did you create that then, that platform?
Oh, it's been going on for about 3 years. We've been all around in circles. We've had people who were truthers, who were trying to drive it in a certain direction. So we've had a lot to kind of iron out, and then we've had developers and things have got messed up with the platform. So it's been this ongoing kind of these obstacles we've had and challenges, because we've been doing it all ourselves, our own money, our own time, our own energy. But we've just created a pledge pot, which is based on a resource economy, big sharing pot. So anybody who wants to give can give to the pot. Anybody who wants to take from the pot needs to receive. It's open to all. So this is a thing that we're launching, which fits in with obviously what you're doing. We're moving away from money. We don't want to set this up with any money. We don't want it to be in the system, so we're not using money. We're trying to show that there's another way, that we're the value, and we can exchange between ourselves. We don't need this insert of money. So we are perhaps a little bit further ahead than a lot of people can conceptualize. But if we can show that this works, because I've been the living pledge pot, I've been very nomadic, and I've had to release a lot of programs about being open to receive without shame and guilt. That guilt program comes in, it's like, oh gosh, I shouldn't be doing this, and people's projections. So I had a lot to work through to have this realization of what others also perceive, so that when this pot is launched, that everybody can contribute resources to, that people feel that they can have the permission to take from the pot as well without the shame, because I've been there, So I feel I've had to live all these things to have that inner standing, and help people to let go of the idea that they're not worthy, or that they have these programs come up, to work through them with them so that they can be accepting, because we're all one. Why wouldn't somebody in another vessel, this physical vessel, want to give to me, because it is me, just in another form. And that's kind of getting the idea that we're all helping each other, but we're not all in this separation, but there's a lot of people who see everything as separate and the illusion. And once we come to this place of becoming self-realized and realizing it's actually source, divinity, that is bringing something to you in another form, it becomes more clear, and that understanding comes. And the more that we work in this way, it becomes a natural state of being. So it's something that we're kind of introducing slowly.
Yeah.
Brother Rick, go on, Brother Rick. You've had your hand up for a while, brother.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that, brother. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I just wish to touch on with Karen. So, what's occurring? How will I begin here? let's say the individual self-worth has been misappropriated. It has been robbed from them. And very simply, what substantiates that is their value and their ability to create money, to create what have you. So it's been conditioned out of them that they don't recognize their own value, their own self-worth, and they believe, and I don't wish to create anything, they believe in the past that the governments and the banks are the only ones able to create money, and it has to be created through their monetary policy. But when you're speaking ones with on individual levels, you are correct that you need to get on at least a level that you can identify with them to enough degree that you can begin to upstep them, upscale them to the common sense and the simplicity of GPMS, which is typically a worldwide vote. The majority rules. So this new monetary system is brought in. And like you, with what you've been set up with your divine precedents, if you will, is to know we are taking humanity to a place where there is no money. But the reasoning for GPMS to use the money is because we don't have time to educate and teach and awaken all of humanity. So it's more easier for them to identify with a simple voting process, as well as the ability to create money unlimitedly and use it as a good tool, and again, temporarily. Now, I love using some statistics when you're identifying with these ones, getting ready to be, if you will, uplifted and the eureka, the light bulbs coming on. I, I love the US because it's notorious. It's a notorious example for this time. And I love helicopter Ben and all of his quantitative easing, if you will. And if we look currently, at the US with the supposed, I don't know how many $1 trillion debt it is now, with their debt clock. But nevertheless, so what this is saying, if you want to look at a little bit of economics and politics, it's saying you have a country that is in huge debt, that it has no surplus of money, no surplus of funds. Yet in 2022, it magically, out of thin air, created $113 billion to send to the Ukraine. So this is a beautiful example, while at the same time, 40 million in the US are in a, let's say, poverty or extreme poverty. So the common sense is if in 1 year, even though they got a huge debt, they have no surplus, they were able to find $113 billion, which could have in an instant put everyone, if you will, out of poverty in the US, especially these 40 million in the US. But if you take it and look at Africa, with where you can feed one child $1 a day, again, here's where it shows that the money very quickly can fix all of the problems, how it's created instantly, but why isn't it appropriated to the areas where we have over 150 million orphans worldwide, most of them not in orphanages, they are street children. When you have 8,500 children dying each day of starvation, around the world each day dying of starvation is about 33,000 total, including the children. So this means adults as well. And when you also look at some more of the statistics, each day around the world, there's approximately 800 million, or let's say about 10% of the world's population is hungry each day. Now, all of this, and whatever else you wish to use to identify with wants. But when you look at what I just said with these few statistics and you use common sense, you see that if money can be created for a war very quickly, why isn't the money created to save lives in that same instant? They're showing you that they can, that they created out of thin air. So with GPMS, what we are doing is putting the power into the people's hands to create it out of thin air, to provide all of the solutions upon the planet. And yes, we can do it. We would not be doing GPMS if we did not have all of the know-how, the strategy, and the full plan to take it to fruition. None of us would be sitting here. Now, also divinely, may have been out or bestowed with this information previously. Brother Dan had received it, many years ago as an example. Many have been divinely bestowed and seated with this information to come together in this glorious time to make it happen and to make it possible. None of this would be possible if we were just humans upon a planet. No, God is real and divine intervention is real. And as I said, it's not religion, but God is real. And this is the thing. We are connected to that. Without that, humanity would have been annihilated long ago. So, again, we need to, their self-worth, their value has been robbed, and it's been robbed, placed on external resources like gold, land, or what have you. With the land, what Den said, really there is no lawful purchase agreement for any of the land upon the planet because the earth, Gaia herself, did not sell land to anyone. It's only a claim. So there is no lawful technical ownership of any land. There is only the custodianship and stewardship of the land, and to do what is proper and right with it, which means no pollution, but we don't need to go into that. But again, what we find with the consciousness, it has been programmed, it has been brainwashed that they do not realize that money would not exist if they did not exist, and that money is created because they exist, but the money is created by someone else with an ill intent, the same ill intent that has caused poverty worldwide, that has caused almost 1 billion to be hungry each day, that same intent that causes and allows for now 8,500 children to die daily. So this intent is very nefarious. And when you calculate what is given to humanity, who is actually administering this ill intent? Well, when you look worldwide at the whole pool of political parties and the politicians at any given time, there's approximately 47,000 that are in power at any given time, dictating what 8 billion must do. When you look at the leaders of any country worldwide, with approximately 230 countries, you have 230 leaders that are making decisions that are inflicting direct harm and death upon humanity. When you look at the people are the majority. So there is a no contest with GPMS. Nothing can oppose it. Nothing can contest it. There is no negotiation. GPMS just is, and it does assimilate the reality as it's doing. And again, who wouldn't choose it? It's more than their lifetime lottery, and no one, honestly, upon the planet would not choose it. When you take a worldwide poll with about 85%, even 90% of the world in lack, and this is their golden ticket out, there's your majority right there with 85 million or billion or 85%. It doesn't matter about the 10 or the 15% that are rejecting GPMS and that don't get it. It doesn't matter. What matters is the majority and getting the voice to the majority, which we're doing in our best way. So again, it's inevitable when you look at the current situation worldwide, and when you also add in the knowledge by the truthers that at least the truthers know there's been a mass genocide attempt upon humanity by all of the governments worldwide. So what this means is that if all these governments worldwide attempted a mass genocide upon the planet, are they really going to give you Nasara and Jassara and do all this for you? The same ones, the same banks and governments that participated in an attempted mass genocide? No, they're not. So wake up from this illusion, if you will. But I'll stop there. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, brother. Yeah, that's absolutely awesome. And it's important to have a look at those numbers and those statistics to really kind of to show anyone, what's really going on, and just say, well, you think that's acceptable? You think that we should just keep on going on as we have been, keep on looping? Because again, if you just look at that number, I just did a simple calculation and I'm pretty sure I'm accurate in it, but yeah, something like the US government have, borrowed and created out of thin air something like 500 billion or whatever, and for war effort and whatever things that aren't serving the people. And so if you just, I think a million goes into a billion 1,000 times. So if you took 500 billion and you divided it by the population of 330 billion, and then you times it by 1,000, that would mean that every single human being in the States could have been given $454,000. So that just is like putting every single soul in the US into, debt by $500,000, and if anyone else done that, they would be done for fraud, right? But the government can put you into debt and, enslave you with taxes and debt, just like that. And for what? For war, so it's really important to look at those numbers and try and understand them and realize the hypocrisy, the, absolute, savagery of that. And to realize that this is the solution that basically creates the new, where none of that will exist anymore. And again, to obviously mention that this is obviously where we're supposed to be going. This is why we're here in this moment in time. For any Christians that are out there that may see this video, Jesus Christ died on the cross and he rose 3 days later, not to have the impact which he obviously had then for that story to be the biggest well-known story that there is. Obviously there was many witnesses of that, otherwise it would have just been hearsay and not believed. That's why it's become the story it has. But it was to have the impact now in this time. That's why the prophecy is there, and that's why we can see everything that's going on is in alignment with the prophecy, because now we have the worldwide connectivity of the internet and the awareness of people being able to connect and know what's right, know what we've had, what's been going on historically, and see the truth. See that basically, again, Jesus was sacrificed because he and John the Baptist, they were here to fulfill the commandments, to have those fulfilled with the truth, that we were supposed to remove ourselves from the material world. And of course, that's where the turning of tables is mentioned in the Bible. So biblically, it's all written there. And it should be understood that this is the time that we're here for now, that we've come here to obviously make the change. And it's absolutely beautiful. And so, pay attention, get involved, get excited, because this is the greatest story to be told, bar the one of Jesus, which is obviously why we're even able to actually awaken to what's going on now. Thank you to Jesus for that, because obviously without Jesus, where would we be, really? So, yeah, amazing. So yeah, anybody else like to open up and contribute in terms of the conversation here?
Yeah, I want to add a little bit to this. We've had 3 years of building websites, coming together, having these movements, fighting the system, and where has it got us? In 3 years, we could have shared the divine plan, not my plan, not my plan, the divine plan to each of them souls, and this would be done now. We would be in this new world already. And I've also got to be very careful with myself. And I've had to step back within myself and understanding sometimes I've made judgments of where other people's consciousness is and where everyone is. I give GPMS with love to every soul, whether they're at this conscious or that conscious, and understand that I'm giving them love. I'm giving them the choice. What they do with that choice is up to them. But until they know that that choice is there, so I'm gifting that soul love, the choice for them to make the decision for themselves, not making a judgment of where they're at or what point of consciousness they are, because I've met many beautiful souls already that have signed GPMS, and if I was to assess their consciousness, they're nowhere near. But that's me making a judgment, and they've consented. It's the divine plan we should be moving forward with, and not everything else is just delaying and slowing down this process. And I've fought the system, and I've been attacking in different areas. And the only person I was fighting was myself. My non-acceptance of the divine plan and not willing to get out of my own way. It's that simple. It's sharing without judgment, without making a preconcepting idea in my head that that person's ready or not. Because many people have surprised me with the levels of whether they're ready or not. And then on another note, the ones that I thought weren't. Brother Rick, you've got your hand up,
Everything
brother.
is an invitation. I share the divine plan, but I also give an invitation to meet at whatever point they want to meet at. And as I know, Dean, you've been very good with me, and you've met me in different levels of consciousness, running all kinds of programs, and got me to dig deep. So it's been very uncomfortable at times. So I feel like that role is required. You know, we can talk about a world without money. We can talk about this transition where mechanisms will be available, where people will, where there will be this flow of money in a movement toward, in a transition to a world where we don't need money. And sharing that and then meeting the person where they're at is kind of what I feel my role is. And I'm not making any assumptions or judgments. I'm just meeting them there in whatever place they are. So I just felt to share that.
I see a divine goddess who's very, very powerful and doesn't necessarily.
I know this.
Doesn't necessarily see how powerful she truly is and why we are truly here, and the divine level of what we are truly going to be, every single one of us standing together in that divine power and authority, in unity, to show humanity that we're all the same. We just have to keep moving through it. There's much more for us to do, and that includes myself. That includes all of us. We are more powerful than we are maybe giving ourselves to be at this moment. But we've got to keep.
I allow the divine flow. I'm a weaver. That's what I'll say. I'm like one of these little stealth kind of animals that goes around just gently weaving ideas and nudging until people. And it's not an assumption. It's just talking about it amongst people. They either get it or they don't. But I'm weaving it in with whatever I'm doing.
Well, I
kind of
see a divine goddess.
happening.
I see a divine goddess who's very powerful. And
Thank you, Dean, for recognising that in me.
I need to see more of that in me. So I understand how that feels. But we've all got to start standing on a higher consciousness. And we've all got to start standing together and showing our divine light. And I have to take accountability of that as well, because I've been doing it a little bit in an area which was thinking I knew more. So I needed a humbling in myself to start fully embodying this rather than walking with a lie that I'm telling myself. Go on, brother Rick.
What if everything's perfect like water flowing?
What if
Sorry.
what if it's not flowing for me perfectly? And I'm lying to myself a little bit that it is flowing, which I have been doing. And I still needed a humbling recently to realign that for myself. Go on, Rick.
Sorry, Rick.
Oh, thank you. I'd like to just touch on about how enslaved the children are in America, in the US. And what I'll use as an example, in the US, when you take their supposed national debt, and when you go per capita to see what that breaks down to, it's approximately $100,000 plus. Now, this becomes more important because when the day that a child is born in the US, it's added to the per capita, and that child has a responsibility to that nation's economy, if you will, and also the child has a responsibility to that debt. So when you actually look at a child in the US, the second that child is born, it owes $100,000 plus dollars debt. Not only that, it is the cost of giving childbirth, which I think in the past, my last research was about $8,500. So what you have is a child born with a huge debt, which is absolutely ridiculous and preposterous. But when we look at how could this child have such a debt on the day of its birth? Well, you look at the child because it's registered into the government, into the economy. And what it does, this registration makes the child an actual shareholder of everything in that entire country. But where debt is an illusion and it doesn't exist, then this means the child is an actual bona fide shareholder of all of the assets in that country. But whereas this country engages, like most all other countries, in worldwide trade, it then makes the child a shareholder, at least to some degree, in all of these other countries. So what you have then is a bona fide shareholder status of the entire planet of just the assets. So the entire public infrastructure upon the planet does have an extrinsic value, an external value. And it's with this external value that we apply it to the present membership of GPMS with about 84,000, that it's in many trillions of dollars, perhaps 100 trillion or more at this time. Now, this is substantial because what it has created is that GPMS.world has a very huge extrinsic value right at this time. It has that net worth of whatever that value is with the proportionate shareholder status with all of the assets worldwide. Now, this is the US, so a child is enslaved, born into that enslavement with that fictitious debt in the US, which is absolutely insane. It's ludicrous. How stupid is that? And when you look at Canada, I think it's around, the last time I looked, I think a child born in Canada is actually born with a $61,000 debt, you know. And really look at, is this, it's absolutely nonsensical, but this is the enslavement and the illusion that the people are living into, you know, to control them. So again, what GPMS does, it frees every child of all of that, and it does the opposite. So any child born today and that is part of the universal nation of GPMS is actually perhaps a billionaire, and that is the way that it should be, that their full worth and value is recognized, not robbed from them the second they're born, and a huge debt placed on their head. You know, it's absurd, but this is the reality of the capitalistic economic system that they have in place to control humanity. And it's these sort of things and more that's not acceptable. And it's hilarious. Yeah, when you just look at that, a little innocent baby born, over $100,000 bill handed to him, you know, when he comes out of the womb, even before he comes out, because actually, or her, when they come out of the womb, because, you know, the doctors or the hospital would not even see them if they do not, you know, the value on the money rather than the soul and the little child, which is absolutely sick. It's pathetic and it's unacceptable. And we are changing this world so that the child comes out free as they should, and a free shareholder of this beautiful planet and all of the abundance. There is no debt. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. So yeah, absolutely true. And just to reiterate again for anyone watching, I mean, all of this information is very clear and transparent for us to see, but sometimes just wording things in slightly a different way may help resonate with others that haven't quite grasped it. Like the taxes that are increasing are on your credit card. You know, that is debt that's been put on your credit card by your government, which is forcing you to be able to have less money for you to spend on what you want for your children, for your families. And so it doesn't make sense at all to just sit by and accept it for what it is. You know, in what you're being told it's being used for these things which are supposed to be necessary and good, when we know that it's causing harm. And the legislation, it causes harm. The people having their homes taken from them is causing harm psychologically, physically. And the system is not good for the people. It's never been good for the people, but it does manage to maintain the power for those few people, those few groups, the 1%, and keep the majority really impoverished or close to poverty. I mean, they've obviously allowed the middle class to grow, you know, for some time, to try and sort of enable them to keep on holding power and grasp that power and try and hold on to it. But of course now, you know, their solution is to obviously just bring what they want and just have a much smaller number of people that will benefit from that current system or the new system that they may want to impose upon the people, you know, with obviously this digital world that they want to create, which is not for the people, not what the people want, or anything like that. So it's highly important that we move, that we take action quickly, that we see things for what they are. We just align with each other, we come together, we create the change within ourselves, but also for the benefit of everyone. And this is the power that we have. This is what we're here to do in this time. And once we do that, then we'll look back and we won't look back, actually. We'll just be looking forward, because we'll be just so busy, preoccupied with the creation of everything around us, just transforming our environment in such beautiful ways, and seeing the people, the effect that has on the people, that we won't have time or an interest to look at anything that happened in the past. And so it's going to be beautiful. Yeah, we've got much to look forward to. But again, there is obviously a process for a lot of people, a humbling process, letting go of ego, letting go of, you know, old programs, old belief systems, like beliefs, and regaining that knowing of what is true, what is important, what is virtuous. And that is obviously coming back to people. But we can't look at anyone and see how someone is and actually know ourselves where someone is at just by looking at them. We can't cast judgment on anyone else. And we're all basically doing our own work. We're all kind of working through our imperfections, trying to be the better versions of ourselves. But, you know, I often come across probably like, you know, a bit sort of, you know, I come across different from anyone else because obviously I'm unique, I'm divine, just like everyone else here, right? But at the same time, I could be looked at by many different people, and they might see me and think, oh, I can often look a certain way that looks like I'm more intimidating because I'm kind of so focused on what I want to deliver for humanity. But we're all on that. But it's actually what's in the heart, and that's what really counts. And that's where aligning with GPMS and giving your agreement is doing that, which is best for everyone. It's doing that which you would want to be done to you, done for you, right? And that's all you've got to kind of see is what would you really like to see? And we're having questions, we're having conversations. It's opening up the conversation with people, like what do they really want to see, and let them talk, let them express themselves. What is it they're not happy about seeing? What would they truly like to see? And open up the conversation, let them talk, let them express, you know, be compassionate, be empathetic to their situation. And then when the timing is right, when it feels right for you, then you may show them GPMS and say, look, this is actually talking about bringing these things in, which would actually completely, you know, change that for you. You know, is this something that you would like to see come into place based on what you've just said to me, what you've just shared to me? And you can share the website with them, and you can go through the website with them without any real knowledge embedded within you to be able to regurgitate things, you know, without looking at the website. You've got the website there just to read it through with them, and you can look at the old versus the new. You can look at the counter. You can look at, you know, the numbers growing on the counter, and ask them, you know, how they feel about this. What kind of sensations is it bringing up in them when they see this? Like, you know, is it exciting? Is there something that's creating another kind of emotion in them? What is it? How do they feel about it? You know.
Sorry, Donovan, to cut you off. My heart was just going mental. I'm like, I know it wants to talk, but it won't come out. And I'm like, power in my heart is just like, it's ferocious. And I'm like, I don't even know what's going to come out right now. It's just like, I feel like I've let everyone down.
No, you haven't.
No,
Don't be silly.
No, because like I've been fighting with my head and my heart. I think most people know. But it really upsets me. Calm it, okay? Upsets me. Everything that's going on right now. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what I was gonna say is like, it's almost like we are the kind. We are. I can't say it.
Take your time.
It's still there. I know it wants to work. So, and this is the first time it's wanted to work through me. So it's so powerful.
I can feel it.
It's not very happy. Put it that way. I guess you could say we're we are the kindness of strangers. We are the kind. Is that coming out? Can you hear me?
Yeah. We can hear you.
I'm not quite sure. There's a bit batshit.
I can feel you. I can certainly feel you.
I know it was coming out, and I know exactly what's been going on. Thank you, Rick, and thank you, Lee, for helping and assisting me. I feel so like it just wants to come out. I've known it for ages, and I know it's slightly going off peel. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, I'm just probably talking gobbledygook at the moment. I need to allow it to flow.
Allow the process, Lisa. Allow it to come through.
Yeah, just yeah, I know I've still got very much to release some programming, and these are why these lovely group sessions are amazing, because I observe Dean. Dean's a great mentor, by the way. yeah, he's triggered me and all of that. I trigger myself actually, to be honest. And then lovely Karen, and Karen, you're lovely. You're so lovely,
Thank you.
you really are. And
So
I
are you.
love, thank you. It's coming out now. I love all what you're doing. I love, oh, I love all what you're doing, all of you. And I've just like love all of you. I love all what you're doing. God, I want to get that myself. So,
No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It is. It. You know, this is true. What we're doing is we are doing this for humanity. You know, and our hearts with humanity. You know, so this is why we're doing it. And
yeah.
so we do feel a lot, you know, and it's difficult to express how we feel because of the conditioning and the programming that we've had, right? But that doesn't mean that we can't actually use this energy, right, to actually change it. And that's the love is the most powerful energy there is, right? And that's why we do what we do, and we're in the times that we're in to do what we're doing, right? So
Yeah.
it's great that you can actually come on here and actually express yourself in the way that you have done, because it enables me to actually be able to express myself in a way that I can't, you know?
Quite sure what was coming out. I weren't even quite sure. I've spent so long trying to hide everything, and you know what? I actually clicked today. In fact, Lee, I was worried that Lee was going to be on, and then I was like, why? So what? And actually, Lee helped me loads yesterday because he did this thing, and as soon as I listened to it, actually Barrett shared it with me privately. As soon as I heard it, I was just like, just things like just within like 5 seconds, just calmed me. And I was like, I feel like I've been doing it all wrong. Do you know what I mean? But there's no wrong and there's no right. I get that. Do you know what I mean? And just yesterday, I was just like, I've been in peace, and I'm leaving on Tuesday, and I have no idea where I'm going other than in my car, and I'm just, it's totally batshit, and I'm like, I must be insane, which there isn't that ability of me as well. There is that quirky side of me that no one's probably seen yet, but it's just like, do you know what? I've got to do this. And I'm putting myself in this position because I need to let go of the control, let go of and just do it. And it's happening anyway. So
Thank you for sharing. That's
I'm
beautiful. And may I reflect something, because you're showing me where the things that I've been through as well. I never know where I'm going. I trust the divine has always got the perfect place for me. I hand it over and it shows up, and I act on it because it's like a magnet. I don't have any choice. There is no me. And I can hear that in your voice. And I just want to say, fear is just the mind, and trust from the heart. You are in the right place all the time.
Oh, sorry, Karen, don't mean to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
It's just it's been for everyone. I know it's not just about me, it's been for everyone. And there's been lots of darkness to clear, as Rick and Femke know full well. And yeah, I know I'm coming out the other side, which is great. It's just, that's why I'm doing it. That's why I'm going in my car, because I know when I'm out in nature, the power of nature is phenomenal. It's so powerful. As soon as I go out in nature, I'm like, poof. I'm like, I'm in the zone. So the power of nature is, I know for a fact that I'm meant to do everything that I'm doing right now. And you know what? I'm not even seeing beyond that. I'm just like, I'm just going to get in my car and that's it.
Yeah, well,
Beautiful.
yeah, it's beautiful. You'll be divinely protected and guided. You know, trust it will all fall into place.
Good, and thankfully, I've even been able to I know you don't need to know this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. And thankfully, it's been very amicable. It's been a wonderful. I don't think it's a splitting up. I think it's a parting of beautiful friendship that Adrian's got now, which is amazing. I told him I can't speak to him after, and I've just been. That's why I've been like fairly quiet this week, because I've been trying to work through it with Adrian, and actually speak my truth with Adrian, and it's all good. Do you know what I mean? And I'm actually quite proud of myself, the fact that I'm on my third right now, which is not how I planned it to be, but obviously it's divinely guided for me to learn such stuff. And I don't know what I was going to say at that point. It's totally gone.
Oh,
But,
my
oh, good.
very good.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, every time I've had a friendship, it's not quite worked. Every time I've had a partner, it's kind of not worked. Goodbyes are not very nice for me, as I came to realise. And what I'm also coming to realise is it's not goodbye, it's see you later.
Yeah, and this is what we're bringing with GPMS, .world is a world that's so full of love, right? And freedom and time freedom and kindness and consideration for everyone, that there's no one that is feeling lack in any way, shape or form, in that sense, that so it's love has become very distorted in people's views of it and very sexualized and all the rest of it, right? And it's so much more than what people have, been conditioned to be thinking of it and feeling of it and acting upon it as, right? So, it's beautiful that you've been able to share that and come on here and we've been able to share that moment of truth, because that's what it is. I think it's probably more or less a good place to sort of, and I'm going to have to go because I've got other engagements to attend, but yeah, this is why we're doing what we're doing. It's for so much, more than even what we've explained here, but essentially creating a future that's bright, that's beautiful, that's full of abundance, full of creation and love and compassion and kindness and joy and fulfillment for everyone upon the planet, to give that future to the children, and to make it last forever, not just a short-term gain here and there that excludes another person or another human being. It's to create it for everyone, and so that's why we do what we do, and we're doing it.
I was going to say as well that the children are the most important, because I know at one point when I was doing my healing, the children are my heart. The children are my heart. I don't know what I'm saying, by the way. So it's imperative we get this out. And I know it's easier said than done. It's my vessel and my head needs to just
It's true though. You're feeling, the suppressed emotions that everyone's having, with what's going on around the world. I mean, people turn a blind eye every single day to all of the children that are dying of starvation, of all of these insenseless, savage things that are occurring, and it's not acceptable to just turn a blind eye to it. We have the solution now. It's very simple. Give your agreement, share it with everyone else. Let's get this done. And to find out more, for anyone watching this, a little bit more about the website and to get more of a view on what you can find, where you can find it on the website, watch the videos we've got on our YouTube channel. When you give your agreement, click on the box to get more involved if it resonates to do that, and then you can join us on Telegram, connect with us, and yeah, together we've got this.
I'll add another little bit into that bit then as well. It's not that all the ideas and the consciousness of humanity and all the people out there haven't got the right ideas of what it's going to be and how it's going to look. But first, we've got to stop it. We're jumping ahead. We're getting to a point thinking that we're doing these things, but while we're thinking we've got to do all these other things, majority of the world is suffering. Children are dying daily. And we're trying to jump ahead and not solve the problem that this is happening. And the only way we stop this from happening is coming together and uniting and sharing the choice and the solution. All the other ideas are for the next step of coming together with community and all that. We have to stop it first. And the only way we do that is by sharing it and giving it to everybody and loving them in that moment and giving them the option and showing them there's a solution. And every time I don't share that solution, another child dies. And I can't live with myself with that. That hurts me inside. It hurts me. So I'm not going to get mixed up in the stories and all my illusions. I'm going to concentrate on the divine plan, because that's the only thing that matters. And that's what I'm here, to be in service to humanity and God, the divine plan. I'm not here to create my own plan. I'm here to create and do what God wants me to do, because I can't watch people suffer anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Just to very quickly add to that, I mean, as we come together, people give their agreement as they connect with us worldwide, there are many, many people who are in a position of comfort, that are compassionate, that are, able to assist in the meantime, as we come together worldwide to actually support those that otherwise would be perishing, and this is why, you don't have to hold on to what you've had, because you're going to have so much more going forward. And by coming together with this and helping us with this, from all walks of life, people of different backgrounds, it's just giving more and more credence to what we're doing. And when actually we're able to document the support and the saving of life, the improving of life that can be achieved, even in the meantime, this is just unstoppable, 100%. And so that's what we ask, is that people just don't keep on watching here and pay attention to what this is and feel it, and just just help us, because the more quickly that we come together on this, the more quickly it gets done, and the more children are saved and life is improved for everyone so much more quickly. So I'll take a step back. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today's beautiful meeting, and for all that have shared. Rick, was there anything you wanted to add just before we close this off?
No, I don't think so, but well, I will share a little thing, what I saw coming up within Lisa, which is very beautiful. It's a micro example of the mother, if you will, recognizing actually what she is condemning the children to. So it's a micro energetic example that this realization as well is coming into the mother, which is so important upon the planet, because again, the responsibility and everything with the mother, what kind of a world is she bearing and putting a child into. But not only the mother, both parents, the father, it becomes their responsibility worldwide for the children to change this now. And with part of the false narratives where you hear about all of the children being rescued from dumbs or what have you, there is no evidence of that upon the planet, to my knowledge, meaning that it is also a fiction and a false narrative for ones to have a codependency and a false expectancy on that someone else is doing something, while at the same time it's just a distraction. So let's say a ulterior ill intent agenda continues forward. So actually, as I mentioned, with the children over 2 to 3 years dying daily, it increased from 5,500 from 5,000 to 8,500 over a matter of a few years, a 70% increase. So, if the things were real and true, that children were actually being saved, why has this increased so dramatically and so profoundly, so quickly? So again, another thing to put at these truthers and the ones that are supporting the false narratives. If these things are true, we should not be seeing these true things. And also, when you take it into every family worldwide, as a result of the last 3 years, many families are experiencing the death of loved ones, including healthy children. So again, you know, this tells the tale on who began this, who administered this, and it's not a compassionate, good intent. So again, the onus always comes back upon the people to do what is right, and also the onus comes upon the parents to step up and secure as guardians for their children's future as well. Also, it becomes the responsibility of each child that has reached a certain age of being able to know what is out there to also make their own choices. With this, for anyone with the United Declaration of Human Rights, if you will, it needs to be known that the largest countries, US, Russia, and China, I believe, and Iraq, and I believe there's 7 that have not endorsed and ratified the UN Declaration of Rights to its full, all-inclusive extent. This becomes very important because one of the main rights, that unalienable rights that GPMS is foundationed on, is the right of self-determination, which, when you look it up, is the individual's choice on how they wish to be governed. And with that, how they wish to be governed is also their choice on and their decision on how they wish for money to be created. And in the case of GPMS, it's fully substantiated through this unalienable right of self-determination, that we decide we wish to create unlimited money on us because we are, and we have the decision to decide how money is created. We don't need to rely on the banks and the government system on how they create money because it's inflicting harm. Also, the basis of harm, or the basis of law with GPMS, is do no harm. So what this does, it completely nullifies and voids the capitalistic system, where it creates wealth disparity and classes, and more specifically, the poverty classes that leads to death, which is causing and inflicting great harm. So it cannot exist in the new reality. But jumping just quickly back to the unalienable right of self-determination, this is what lawfully also substantiates the GPMS movement, and it's another one of these lawful provisions that doesn't allow for it to be compromised in any way. And when you also have where the UN Declaration of Rights, it's not really written, it's not worth the paper it's written on it, because you don't have a worldwide agreement that is endorsing it. And when you have superpowers like the US and Russia and China that are not part of this, it shows you have a huge problem upon the planet. And in the times of complete tyranny, the absolute power is with the people, and is their responsibility and their moral obligation to stand up and remove any that is in positions of power, if you will, that is causing conflict and harm upon the planet. So these are the real and true moral obligations with that. But blah, blah, blah. That's enough. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, brother, for adding all of that. And again, finally, just before we close off this meeting, for anyone watching this that is one that has been a fighter in the past, you know, regards themselves as a bit of a hard nut, you know, you need to apply that energy into doing this solution. You know, many of us come from different walks of life, you know, and the time for fighting in a physical sense, you know, it's over. There's nothing to be gained from it. And you know, we've had our experiences. We've been conditioned and programmed to think that fighting is somehow, you know, good. It's not in any way, shape, or form. Nothing can be resolved with that, only pain and only suffering. And so this is what we come together now. We put our energy to where we know it's going to actually create what we wish. And that's what we ask that you do. There's nothing, bad about being empathetic and compassionate and kind. This is all how we were born. That is our heart. That's what connects us all. That's what we need to basically go back into. And so I thank you all for being here. Much love, much light, much gratitude. Have an amazing week. We've got this. The numbers are growing, every single week. It's amazing. So thank you so much, everyone. And we look forward to seeing more and more join us as time goes on.
Lovely and gratitude,
Thank you.
guys. Have a lovely week. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Yeah.